I'm not a lawyer, but I just read the 40-page lawsuit that Viacom filed against Zeus Network, alleging Zeus's show, Bad vs. Wild, is a copyright, trademark, and trade dress infringement on their show, Wallin' Out. And even though I've never watched Bad vs. Wild, some of the side-by-sides included in this lawsuit definitely have me doing a double take. Let me give you the recap. First of all, Viacom comes out swinging early in the lawsuit, saying, quote, "Substantial similarity is an understatement here. Bad vs. Wild does not just take inspiration from the creative elements of Wallin' Out, it uses each and every one of those elements in the same manner in which they are used in the production of Wallin' Out. No reasonable person could watch an episode of Bad vs. Wild and observe the total concept and feel of the show to be different in any material way from that of Wallin' Out. The inescapable conclusion is that Zeus intentionally copied elements of Wallin' Out in developing Bad vs. Wild, knowing that those acts constituted infringements on Viacom's copyrights." The suit goes on to say the level of copying in Bad vs. Wild is so extreme that it has already led to widespread public confusion. Consumers, misled by Zeus's deceptive marketing, actually believe that Bad vs. Wild is affiliated with or endorsed by Viacom and Wallin' Out. This confusion is no accident. It is the intended result of Zeus's deliberate strategy to piggyback on the success and goodwill of Wallin' Out. And then a little further down in the lawsuit, Viacom starts getting specific. They say there are a number of things that Zeus has copied, starting with the name. Viacom says, quote, "The title Bad vs. Wild is extremely similar to the Wallin' Out name, consisting of two single-syllable words separated by an abbreviated connector and sharing the word wild." I mean, I kind of can see what you're saying. And then they show the landing pages for the two shows, highlighting that Zeus's page includes Nick Cannon Presents, which is also used on the Wallin' Out image. Okay, I see that one for sure. And then they go to the onstage logos, highlighting that the logos are nearly identical. They are center stage in fuchsia, turquoise, and black in a style emulating neon lights with blue and fuchsia lights in the background. I see this one. I see this one. And then they go on to the stage setup, highlighting that both stages have two couches, a large screen in the center, a DJ booth on the left side, and then the actual competition happening in the center of the stage. These kind of look like the exact same sets. And then they go on to lighting. Viacom says the Bad vs. Wild lighting design is almost identical to seasons 18 and 21 of Wallin' Out. Seasons 18 and 21? How many seasons do they have? It says they feature small fuchsia and turquoise disc-shaped lights in the background and blue spotlight beams. And then they go on to cast members. Viacom says that not only has Zeus enlisted numerous individuals who previously worked on Wallin' Out, and in some cases are still working on Wallin' Out, Viacom says that they've also taken the host. Yeah, Nick Cannon is the host of Bad vs. Wild. Viacom says that this has confused consumers into thinking that the two shows are connected, and they include some screenshots. Outside of just copying the show, Viacom's issue with all of this is they say virtually every episode of Bad vs. Wild contains several instances of offensive and inappropriate content that glorifies violence, objectifies women, and perpetuates insidious stereotypes. The suit says that Zeus reels people in by making them think the show is affiliated with Wallin' Out, and then once they're in, they see a ton of offensive and inappropriate content, believing that Viacom and MTV are really behind content, which then casts a negative light on them. Some of the offensive and inappropriate content that they're referring to includes apparently the opening line for every episode of Bad vs. Wild is, "What up?" and they also have participants vaping on the stage. And then they say that one episode's theme was dark skin versus light skin, which following a public controversy is rebranded to Ratchet versus Bougie, doubling down on harmful and extremely offensive stereotypes about skin color. And then apparently there was another episode themed Talls versus Smalls, wherein the Smalls team members are little people who are infantilized and made fun of by the participants. Viacom says they sent a cease and desist letter, but Zeus didn't stop. Viacom also directly addresses Nick Cannon being the host of the show, saying that in utilizing Nick Cannon as the host of this show, Zeus is not only infringing upon Viacom's intellectual property, but separately, it is intentionally interfering with Viacom's contractual relationship with Mr. Cannon. See, now this is the question I had. According to Viacom, Zeus is aware that Nick Cannon is under contract with Viacom and that contract prohibits him from engaging in any outside services that could 1. Tarnish his image as an on-camera talent for Wild 'N Out, and 2. He is prohibited from incorporating any characters or materials from Wild 'N Out, or 3. Prohibited from using or incorporating any of the names or marks or logos of Viacom or its related content. And so Viacom says that this show violates all 3 of those. They say Nick's image is being tainted, and according to them, the show is clearly using their stuff. And because they say Zeus was aware of these contractual obligations and still decided to enlist him, they have interfered with Viacom's contractual rights and relations. And they add on that the damage caused by Zeus's interference with this contract is magnified because of the negative publicity caused by those 2 colorist and sizes episodes. So Viacom is suing, and they have 10 causes of action. The first being copyright infringement, and that's for copying the format and structure of Wild 'N Out, copying particular game concepts and rules for games. The second cause of action is for trademark infringement, and this has to do with the similarity of the words and symbols that they're using in the Bad vs. Wild show. Cause of action number 3 is for trade dress infringement, and this one has to do with the overall look and feel that Viacom says they are copying. This includes the stage setup and visual appearance of the show. There's also a cause of action for dilution, which has to do with Viacom saying that Zeus has diluted, tarnished, diminished, pick a word, the uniqueness and quality of Wild 'N Out. And then the last claim is for intentional interference with contractual relationships, which again has to do with Zeus allegedly being aware of Nick's contract and, according to them, persuading him to break it. So again, I've personally never watched Bad vs. Wild, but I think I see their point. What y'all think?